New Zealand for the 4th event running to take a gold medal position. This is something that is unprecedented since the days of the old GDR, when we did often have 4 gold medals in a row from DDR, but we've never seen it in your racing experience, have we?
No, I haven't seen it. It's quite surprising. They must have a real brilliant program down in New Zealand. And
they have a new chief executive who they brought in from rugby, so and they do that quite well. I think something's worked, and a very, very solid regime. Here we are, the Eva Swindell sisters in lane 3. They were beaten by this crew, Bulgaria, Rumiana Nekova and Milena Markova, in the Lucerne regatta 6-7 weeks ago. And in lane 5 we have Magdalena Schmuder and Christiane Huth of Germany. They look quite nervous about this start, and we can see that the wind is bubbling up that water a bit. And Laura Schiavoni and Elisabetta Sancassani of Italy in lane 6. We missed reading over Elise Laverick and Debbie Flood for Great Britain in lane 2, Amber Bradley and Sally Kehoe for Australia, the top of the picture in lane 1. But the focus, as it inevitably must be after the preceding 3 races and in view of their Olympic championship, New Zealand.
Bulgaria, Germany, Italy. Attention.
Clean start all round, but Bulgarians very definitely quicker onto that first stroke and showing a little bit in front. There's Markova in the stroke seat, blonde hair, not tied up as most people do. There's the New Zealanders, they're both blonde, but they've tied it up. Caroline and Georgina. Caroline in the stroke seat. They're identical twins, and forgive me if I get them back to front. So what of Magdalena Schmuder and Christiane Huth? Are they hopeful of a medal here?
I hope so. Christiane Huth's been spare for the women's squad last year, so she was training with the crew for a while, and Magdalena Schmuder was performing in the under 23 event, and I think she did really well there. So it's a pretty young crew, their first experience together, but I'm hoping they will live up to Jutta Lau's standard.
And as we did at Lucerne, we see the New Zealanders, they've gone straight out in front, as all these New Zealand crews seem to do, and they've got Bulgaria on the left, right next door to them, close up, about half a length behind, and on the far side, Great Britain, Elise Laverick and Debbie Flood also in close attendance. So the chevron is working, New Zealand in front, Great Britain and Bulgaria roughly level pegging for 2nd and 3rd place, and the other crews at the moment not in picture.
Very strong girl from Bulgaria. I reckon Rudnikova moved from the single into the double this year.
She did. She was. She's been in the single since 1990, when she was a junior world champion, and she then known as Jajarova, and she's performed well early on. Then she slipped a bit and didn't get the results that she'd been hoping for, and then came on strongly in the last Olympiad and became world champion in 2002. But New Zealand in front now. We can see why they're so good. They're identical twins, but that doesn't make them scull quite so nicely as they do. They do huge mileage, apparently always with great good humour and little argument, and they just scull absolutely beautifully together. The Bulgarian double in picture there, a very flat stroke, so they put the blade in, they don't dig it deep, they just draw it straight through. It's a lovely arc, but they've got a long way to catch up already with, as they go through the 750 metre mark, there is open water between New Zealand back to Bulgaria, and in lane 2 Great Britain in 3rd position.
It seems like New Zealand are just moving the boat very smoothly. It seems just to keep running, also they're going forward, so it's very nice work there.
32.5 strokes a minute, that's
very economic rating.
In contrast to their pair, which you were pointing out was going at 39 and 40 all the way. Bridgewater's a big bloke in that pair, and for him to find it necessary with such long levers to still go at such a high rate I think the rate must be being set by Nathan Twaddle in the bow seat. But what's going to stop these New Zealanders? They were beaten by the Bulgarians coming through at the end of the race and absolutely catching them on the line in Lucerne. 1,000 metres is gone, and there's a length and a half or 2 lengths of open water between New Zealand back to Bulgaria, and Australia and New Zealand now Australia and Great Britain now vying for 3rd and 4th place. But these two crews are, well, this crew is world apart from the other double sculls in this event.
I think they learned their lesson and they're trying to put as much water between them and the Bulgarians as possible.
If Rumiana Nevkogova were to look over her shoulder now, she must think, gosh, that's an impossible margin to claw back. There they are in picture, sculling very nicely. As we said, they've got a rather bent arm catch slightly, but they do draw the blade through very flat. And Great Britain, who were holding on to 3rd and bronze medal for time, now passed by Australia by a good length down. Elise Laverick and Debbie Flood. Debbie Flood, a silver medalist in the quad last year. Elise Laverick, a bronze medalist in the double scull in the Olympic regatta. And their combination is a new one. They were formed after the quad was formed, and it hasn't proved quite as slick for Paul Thompson, the Australian coach, as his last year's combinations did. But New Zealand, coached again by Richard Tonks. A lot of power there, but still very relaxed, aren't they? There's no tension in the stroke at all.
No, they're looking very relaxed. I know they are not. Like, their heart rate is probably up to 200 right now, but they keep the long arms and like moving the boat really smoothly.
I believe that the higher the more athletes vary, and if they can get the heart rate very high, then they've got a good range between their race, their aerobic level and their highest level. That's good for an athlete, is it?
It is.
And these are probably 200 beats a minute type athletes, and very big lungs, I imagine. Do you know what their VO2 max is?
I don't know. I've got no idea.
It's a secret, I think, probably.
Probably.
Well, I think that with a 1500 metre result of 5 seconds gap between New Zealand and Bulgaria, with Australia in 3rd position and them 3 seconds clear of Great Britain, that it would appear the medal positions are sorted, and we are looking forward to a 4th New Zealand gold medal in a row, and a form of dominance that for locals here visiting a World Championship regatta for the first time, maybe they think it's normal, but everybody else here is absolutely having their breath taken away by the strength of this small but ruthlessly efficient New Zealand team.
Can you imagine their party tonight?
The party tonight? Well, they're all so fit that it'll take one drink and they'll all be away, so it'll be, I mean, there's a bunch of cheap dates if ever there was one, because they are fantastic metabolic rates, and I imagine the smallest touch of alcohol will send them into orbit.
Probably.
But here we have 10 strokes to go. New Zealand absolutely dominant. Bulgaria have closed a bit and are chasing them home, but it is a forlorn hope that they will win the gold medal. New Zealand, 3 strokes, 2, 1, and across the line, gold medal supreme. Bulgaria across the line in 2nd place for silver, well-deserved silver, and a long way back, Australia taking bronze medal, and in 5th position, Magdalena Schmude and Christiana Hout finishing now, and a well-beaten Elise Laverick and Debbie Flood for Great Britain in 5th place, and never really in the race, Laura Schiavone and Elisabetta Sancasani for Italy in 6th place. But who can take anything away from New Zealand now? We'll have to flick through the programme and see where the next New Zealand crew is. I think it's in the men's 4, because they don't have a men's double scull. So in the men's 4 we have a gap. There is a chance for another nation to win a gold medal after this with the men's double scull, and then the men's 4, and there is indeed a New Zealand crew there, coached by Chris Nielsen, and we maybe should expect great things from them as well. But for the moment, the course, the championship regatta, belongs to the New Zealand women's double scull. Caroline and Georgina